My werewolf study buddy keeps sniffing my hoodie. The exam hall buzzed with nervous energy, a cacophony of rustling papers and hushed whispers that grated on Briar's Kalenian hearing. Her light silver fur accents shimmered almost imperceptibly with rising tension. She caught Quentin's eye across the crowded room. He offered a small, reassuring smile. Moments later, she was beside him, her voice a low murmur, my hoodie. He unzipped his jacket, pulling off the soft garment, its familiar scent a silent promise of peace. As she pulled it over her beanie-clad head, the subtle change in her posture, the softening of her golden eyes, was immediate. A small, almost imperceptible sigh escaped her, a quiet triumph against the storm inside. She settled into her seat, the soft fabric a familiar anchor against the rising tide of her anxieties. The low murmur of Quentin's presence, filtered through the hoodie, dampened the sharp edges of the room's ambient noise. Her golden eyes, previously darting with unease, now focused with a newfound stillness on the exam paper. Briar picked up her stylus, the intricate Kalenian glyphs of the advanced astrophysics exam suddenly making sense. She began to write, her movements precise and confident. Quentin watched her from a few rows away. He had seen her before, of course. Briar was hard to miss with her striking silver fur accents and eyes that held an ancient, knowing quality. Today, however, her usual athletic composure had been replaced by a visible tremor. He had noticed her rapid breathing, the slight tightening around her jaw. The change, once she wore his hoodie, was remarkable. Her shoulders relaxed. The subtle shimmer of her fur accents seemed to soften. He felt a quiet satisfaction in providing that small comfort. He returned his attention to his own exam, the complex algorithms of xenolinguistics demanding his full focus. The hours passed quickly. Briar completed her paper with time to spare, rereading her answers with a clarity she rarely achieved under stress. The hoodie felt like a second skin, a protective cocoon. She handed in her exam, a rare sense of accomplishment settling within her. She waited outside the exam hall, leaning against a cool wall, the hoodie still pulled close. Students streamed out, their faces a mix of relief and exhaustion. Quentin emerged, his expression thoughtful. He spotted her immediately. "How was it?" he asked, approaching her with a calm stride. His voice was naturally low and steady. Briar pushed her beanie back slightly, a small smile playing on her lips. "Better, much better, thanks to you." She gestured to the hoodie. "It helps." He nodded, a hint of curiosity in his gaze. "I noticed. You looked a lot more relaxed in there." She pulled at the sleeve of the hoodie, avoiding his direct gaze for a moment. "My species has, highly sensitive senses. Earth can be very overwhelming sometimes. Certain scents, certain presences, they help to filter the static." It was a simplified explanation, but it was all she was willing to offer right now. Quentin considered her words. He had always found her subtly different, but he had attributed it to her being from a different cultural background. Now he wondered if it was more. He remembered the faint silver sheen on her fur, the way her golden eyes seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "So my hoodie is like a noise-canceling blanket?" he asked, a gentle teasing note in his voice. Briar laughed, a soft, melodic sound that surprised him. "Something like that, only much more effective." She met his eyes then, a deep gratitude shining in hers. "Thank you, Quentin, truly." "Any time, Briar," he replied, meaning it. He liked the sound of her laugh, the way her eyes crinkled at the corners. There was an unexpected warmth in their interaction, a connection that felt deeper than casual campus acquaintance. They walked together toward the main campus square. The afternoon sun was warm and the square buzzed with student activity. Briar glanced at the hoodie, then back at Quentin. "I should probably give this back to you now." "No rush," he said. "Keep it if you need it. I have others." He didn't want to break the quiet moment, the unusual understanding that had bloomed between them. Briar hesitated. The thought of taking it off, of letting the cacophony of the world rush back in, was unappealing. "Are you sure?" "Positive," he affirmed, a genuine smile on his face. "Consider it a good luck charm for the rest of exam season." She smiled back, a genuine open expression that transformed her face. "Then I will, and I'll return it pristine, I promise." She felt a strange lightness in her chest. This human, Quentin, was unexpectedly kind. His scent, subtle and grounding, was a shield she desperately needed. She felt a flicker of hope, a sense of safety she hadn't experienced since arriving on this vibrant, chaotic planet. They reached the crossroads where their paths diverged. "Well, I should head to the library," Quentin said. "Got more studying to do." "Me too," Briar replied. "See you around, Quentin." "Yeah, see you." He watched her walk away, the gray fabric of his hoodie a soft halo around her beanie-clad head. The silver fur accents on her neck seemed to catch the light, almost glowing. There was something undeniably unique about Briar, something beyond her quiet intensity or unusual sense of calm. He felt a distinct pull of curiosity. She had hinted at her species, at Earth being overwhelming. It was more than a metaphor, he knew it. Later that week, Quentin was in the campus library, hunched over his datapad, researching ancient Kalenian communication protocols for his xenolinguistics project. He needed to understand the nuances of nonverbal cues. He looked up, stretching his neck, and saw Briar across the expansive study hall. She was surrounded by datapads and books, a focused intensity in her posture. She still wore his hoodie. Its familiar gray stood out against her darker clothing. He noticed her golden eyes occasionally flicking around the room, less frantic than before, but still scanning. She met his gaze across the room, offering a small, grateful nod. He returned it, a quiet understanding passing between them. He wondered what she truly meant by overwhelming. Was it just noise or something more? He observed her subtle movements, the way she occasionally shifted as if adjusting to unseen pressures. The way her fingers sometimes twitched, almost a nervous habit, until she'd unconsciously smoothed the fabric of his hoodie. It was an involuntary gesture, a seeking of comfort. He finished his research and gathered his things, deciding to approach her. She looked up as he neared, a faint flush on her cheeks. "Hey," he said softly, not wanting to disturb the quiet. "Quentin, just finishing up here." She closed a thick physical book. "Still got my hoodie, I see," he teased gently. Briar looked down at it, then back at him. A brief, almost imperceptible flicker of something akin to embarrassment crossed her face. "It's very comfortable and helpful. I actually meant to return it today." She started to pull it off. "No, don't worry about it," he said, holding up a hand. "I wasn't asking for it back, just observing." He noticed how she relaxed slightly at his words. "How was the rest of your week after the exam?" "Productive," she replied, her voice softer now. "The calm helps me focus. My mind feels clearer." She hesitated, then continued, "It's hard to explain to someone who doesn't experience it. But imagine every whisper, every shuffle of paper, every faint electrical current amplified. Your hoodie filters so much of that." Quentin listened intently. He had never considered such a perspective. He processed her words, not just hearing them but trying to understand the underlying experience. "So, you're saying Earth is just too loud for you?" "In many ways, yes. Too many stimuli," she clarified. "My homeworld, Kaelin, is different. Our environments are structured to mitigate such sensory overload. Here, it's a constant battle for my species." Her gaze drifted, a wistful look in her golden eyes. "It's a beautiful planet, truly, but intense." He felt a pang of empathy. She was a stranger in a strange land, literally. "That sounds incredibly difficult," he said, his voice gentle. "I can't imagine living like that." Briar met his gaze, a profound sense of gratitude in her expression. "Most people don't. They just think I'm antisocial or overly sensitive." She paused, then added, "You didn't." "Well, you just seemed a little overwhelmed," he admitted. "And anyone can feel that way during exams." He didn't want to pry too much, but his curiosity was deepening. Her admission, however brief, revealed a hidden struggle. "It's more than that," she confessed, her voice barely a whisper. "But your hoodie, it makes it manageable. It's like a quiet space just for me in the middle of everything." Tin felt a warmth spread through him. A simple garment, an everyday item, was a source of profound comfort for her. He looked at her, at the silver fur that subtly defined her features, at the depth in her golden eyes. He saw not just a classmate, but someone carrying a unique burden, navigating a world not designed for her. A quiet, unspoken understanding solidified between them. He didn't know the full story, not yet, but he knew he wanted to understand. He wanted to help. "Keep it as long as you need it, Briar," he said, his voice firm with genuine offer. "Seriously, don't even think about returning it until you're ready." A soft, genuine smile bloomed on her face. Her eyes, usually so guarded, softened even further. "Thank you, Quentin," she repeated, the words imbued with a deeper meaning this time. "It means more than you know." He knew it did. A mystery still lingered in her gaze, a story waiting to be told. But for now, in the bustling campus library, a quiet, curious understanding had sparked, an unexpected alliance forged between a human and a Kalenian, bridged by the simple comfort of a worn gray hoodie. The quiet understanding between them blossomed quickly into a new pattern. Briar's requests for the hoodie grew more frequent, a subtle shift in their interactions. Before a crucial group presentation in the packed auditorium, Quentin found her packing backstage, her silver fur accents barely visible beneath her dark jacket, her golden eyes wide with a familiar tension. "The noise," she whispered, her voice strained. "It's a wave." He didn't hesitate. "Here," he said, unzipping his jacket. She pulled it on, the material a familiar weight, and he watched the immediate easing of her posture, the subtle softening of her features. She nodded once, a silent thank you, before stepping out to deliver her part with newfound composure. Weeks later, during the bustling annual campus festival, Quentin spotted Briar near the main stage, shrinking slightly from the cacophony of music and chatter. He walked over, the hoodie already in his hand. She met his gaze, a flash of relief warming her eyes. "You knew," she murmured, pulling the garment over her head. "It's too much. The scents, the vibrations." "I had a feeling," he replied, a gentle smile touching his lips. He understood now, intuitively, that certain environments amplified her unique sensitivities. He stayed with her, a quiet anchor in the festive storm, as she slowly relaxed into the hoodie's embrace. They shared a soft drink, talking about mundane campus gossip, but the underlying current of their connection grew stronger, deeper. Then came the midterm exams. He found her in the library, hunched over a textbook, a faint tremor in her hands. She looked up, her expression a silent plea. He simply offered the hoodie, an unspoken ritual now, and watched her settle into its comfort, her focus returning. A few days after the midterms, Quentin realized he hadn't seen his hoodie. He'd lent it to Briar before her last exam, but she hadn't returned it. He found her in their usual study room, deep in concentration, his gray hoodie a comfortable slump around her shoulders. A small, almost imperceptible smile played on her lips as she made notes. It looked perfectly natural on her, as if it belonged. He decided not to mention it. The next morning he saw her again, walking across campus, the same hoodie casually draped over her. And the day after that, in the student lounge, reading a book, the worn fabric a familiar sight. He felt a quiet amusement, a warmth spreading through him. It wasn't just a comfort item anymore. It was part of her routine. He wondered if she even noticed she still had it. He approached her in the study room later that week. She was sketching intricate patterns in a notebook, the hoodie's hood down, framing her delicate silver-furred ears. "Hey, Briar," he said softly, not wanting to startle her. She looked up, her golden eyes bright. "Quentin, everything all right?" "Yeah," he chuckled, gesturing vaguely at her. "Just wondering if you'd accidentally adopted my hoodie." Briar glanced down, a surprised little laugh escaping her. "Oh, your hoodie, I guess I did." She pulled at the sleeve, a hint of something playful in her gaze. "It's just so convenient and comfortable." "It's been a few days now," he pointed out gently, a smile still on his face. He wasn't demanding it back, merely observing. She met his gaze, her expression shifting from playful to something more resolute. "I know, and I'm not giving it back." Her voice held a light, teasing tone, but underneath it, a quiet firmness resonated. Not yet, anyway. It has a job to do. Quentin leaned against the doorframe, intrigued. A job. Yes, she said, her eyes twinkling. It keeps me sane. It helps me focus. It's like a portable calm. She didn't elaborate, but the conviction in her words was clear. Don't you have other hoodies? He laughed, shaking his head. I do, but none with the same job description, apparently. He found himself not caring at all. In fact, the idea of his hoodie providing her such essential comfort filled him with a quiet satisfaction. All right, then. Consider it on an extended loan. Just try not to permanently alter its molecular structure. Briar smiled, a genuine open smile that reached her eyes. Deal. The tension in the room, if there ever was any, dissolved. Their conversations began to deepen beyond class assignments and exam stress. They started meeting for coffee, discussing their future plans, their interests, the small details of their lives. Quentin learned about Briar's fascination with exoplanetary physics, her quiet ambition. He noticed the subtle ways she navigated the world, always seeking less crowded routes, choosing quieter corners in the library. One afternoon, over steaming mugs, Briar admitted, sometimes it feels like the world is shouting. Every light, every sound, every smell. It's a constant barrage. She ran a hand over the hoodie's sleeve, a subtle, almost unconscious gesture. It makes simple things like walking through a busy corridor into an ordeal. Quentin listened, his gaze steady and patient. That sounds exhausting, he said, picturing the overwhelming sensory input she described. He tried to imagine his own world through her unique filter. How do you manage it normally? I don't, she confessed, her voice lowering. Not well, not without strategies. She paused, then looked directly at him. Your presence, your scent, it's different, it's a reprieve. He felt a pang in his chest. A human, a simple student, provided a refuge for someone navigating such an intricate internal landscape. He realized the depth of her struggle, the isolation it must bring. He didn't offer advice. He simply listened, his steady presence a quiet anchor. When I'm overwhelmed, she continued, her voice soft, it's hard to think, to process. It's like static. Your hoodie, it cuts through the static. She looked away, a flicker of vulnerability in her golden eyes. It's embarrassing to admit such a reliance. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, Briar, Quentin responded, his voice gentle but firm. Everyone needs something to help them cope. For some, it's music. For others, a quiet space. Yours just happens to be a hoodie. He paused, and maybe me. She looked back at him, a profound gratitude in her gaze. Maybe you, she echoed, a quiet warmth spreading between them. He saw the trust growing in her eyes, the slow unfurling of her guarded nature. Her anxieties, previously hidden, were now shared, and his patient, steady presence offered a space of acceptance she hadn't known she needed. The worn gray fabric of his hoodie, now her constant companion, had become more than just an item of clothing. It was a symbol of their burgeoning, unexpected connection. Weeks later, the campus library hummed with the late-night quiet of serious study. Only a few students remained, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of data pads. Briar sat opposite Quentin, his hoodie draped over her shoulders, her golden eyes scanning lines of code. The air was still, a rare gift on Earth. She took a deep breath, the subtle scent of Quentin's presence a grounding force. Tonight felt different. A weight pressed on her, a secret too heavy to carry alone much longer. She closed her data pad, the soft click echoing slightly in the silence. Quentin looked up, a questioning glance in his eyes. Everything all right? He asked, sensing a shift in her posture. Briar hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of the hoodie. Quentin, she began, her voice a low murmur. There's something I need to tell you, something important. He set his own pad aside, giving her his full attention. His steady gaze was an invitation, a silent promise of understanding. My species, she continued, choosing her words carefully, we perceive the world in ways humans do not. It's not just the five senses you understand. We are acutely sensitive to subtle biological signals. You might call them pheromones, but for us, they are a language, a constant stream of information about emotional states, intentions, even well-being. She paused, watching his reaction. Quentin's brow furrowed slightly, taking it in. Emotional regulation. You mean you can sense how others feel chemically? Precisely, Briar affirmed. And we are also regulated by them. On Kalen, my home world, our environment is carefully controlled to mitigate this. Specific biosignals are rare, curated. Earth is chaotic by comparison. Every person, every animal, every plant emits a unique signature. It's like a constant, overwhelming cacophony of emotional data without any filter. She gripped the hoodie tighter. That's why the world often feels like it's shouting. It's not just the noise and light. It's the sheer volume of unfiltered biological signals. A quiet settled between them, heavy with the unspoken implications. Quentin processed her words, his mind racing to connect the dots. Her anxiety, her need for the hoodie, her mention of Kaelin. Kaelin, he repeated slowly, a dawning realization in his voice. Briar, you're not from Earth, are you? She met his gaze, a profound vulnerability in her golden eyes. No, she whispered, the confession hanging in the air. I'm not. I am from Kaelin. My species has been observing Earth for generations, but direct contact is rare, reserved for specific high-stakes missions. Quentin leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable for a moment. He didn't recoil, didn't question with disbelief. Instead, he simply watched her, his intelligence working through the information. Another planet, he murmured, a quiet wonder in his tone. That explains so much. The way you describe the world, your sensitivity. It's not a condition, it's just how you are in an environment not designed for you. He nodded slowly, a thoughtful acceptance settling over him. It makes perfect sense. A wave of relief washed over Briar, so potent it almost brought tears to her eyes. She had anticipated a dozen different reactions. Shock, fear, disbelief, even laughter. Not this quiet, steady understanding. You're not surprised, she asked, her voice barely audible. Surprised, yes, Quentin admitted, a small, gentle smile playing on his lips. But not in a bad way, it just fits. You're Briar. This just adds another layer to who you are. He paused, his gaze softening. It must be incredibly difficult, being so far from home in a world that constantly assaults your senses. Briar felt a profound release, as if a dam had broken. It is, she confessed, her voice thick with emotion. It's been profoundly lonely, Quentin. Imagine living in a constant whisper that no one else hears, in a crowd where everyone else is fluent in a language you only grasp fragments of. Every interaction, every public space is an immense effort. It's isolating. I've spent so much time trying to adapt, trying to pretend I'm like everyone else. She looked down at the hoodie, her fingers clenching the soft fabric. My world, Kaelin, is a place of carefully managed sensory input. Quiet spaces, gentle shifts in light, subtle scents designed to soothe and focus. Here, it is all raw, unfiltered, relentless. She looked back at him, her golden eyes pleading for his continued understanding. And your presence, your hoodie, it's different. Your biosignature, your scent, it's uniquely calming for me. It's like a quiet space in the middle of a storm, a specific frequency of calm that somehow resonates, cutting through the static. She swallowed, her throat tight. I don't know why your particular signature affects me this way. It's not common, even among my own kind, to find such a perfect countersignal. Quentin listened, his heart aching for her. The loneliness she described, the constant struggle she endured, suddenly became vividly real. He understood now the true depth of her reliance on him, on his hoodie. It wasn't just comfort, it was a lifeline. He reached across the table, his hand gently covering hers where it rested on the hoodie. Briar, he said, his voice soft but firm, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And there's certainly no need to be lonely. You're not alone in this. He squeezed her hand. You've been incredibly brave navigating all of this by yourself. And if my scent or my hoodie or just my presence helps you, then consider it yours, all of it. A warmth, gentle and steady, flowed between their hands, a tangible connection forged in shared vulnerability and profound trust. Briar's gaze held his, a silent promise exchanged, a new understanding deepening the bond between a human and a visitor from Kaelin. Quentin's touch remained a steady anchor. Briar felt the subtle current of his calm presence, a quiet hum against the usual internal clamor. His words, "You're not alone in this," resonated deep within her, a promise she hadn't dared to hope for. The library's soft lighting, once a minor annoyance, now seemed almost gentle, softened by the shared moment. The following week saw a quiet shift in their routine. Quentin found himself gravitating towards Briar's preferred study areas late into the evening. He didn't always sit directly beside her, often choosing a nearby table, but his presence was a constant, a silent assurance. Briar, in turn, found a new ease in his proximity. Her light silver fur accents, which usually shimmered with nervous energy in public spaces, remained settled, almost serene. Her golden eyes, often darting, held a softer, more focused gaze. One night, as the campus library emptied, leaving only a scattered few, Briar leaned back, a rare sigh escaping her. "It's different now," she murmured, not looking at Quentin but at the empty chair opposite her. "Knowing you understand, it lessens the burden." Quentin closed his textbook. "I want to understand more, Briar, about Kaylin, about you." She turned to him, her expression serious. "Kaylin is a world of conscious design. Every living thing, every structure built with sensory regulation in mind. Our cities are quiet, our habitats muted. Even our biology evolved to harmonize with that environment." She gestured vaguely to her face. "The fur, the eyes, they are more than aesthetic." "I've noticed the changes," Quentin admitted. "Sometimes your fur seems to almost brighten, and your eyes, they shift." Briar nodded. "When my senses are overwhelmed, or when I experience strong emotions, the fur follicles contract, making the silver more pronounced. It's a natural release of excess energy, a visible barometer of internal state. And my eyes," she continued, her gaze direct, "Kaylenians perceive a broader spectrum of light than humans. The golden shift indicates heightened focus, often a self-defense mechanism against sensory overload, allowing us to filter out extraneous visual input." Quentin leaned forward, fascinated. "So when you pulled on my hoodie that first day and your eyes softened, your fur settled, that was you finding your quiet space?" "Precisely," she confirmed. "It's a physical manifestation of finding equilibrium. Your biosignature, it acts like a filter for me, a unique frequency that dampens the chaos. It's why the hoodie works so well. It carries your essence." Their late-night discussions became a ritual. Quentin learned about Kaylenian social structures, their emphasis on collective well-being, and their advanced understanding of bioresonance. He discovered their planet's vibrant, yet carefully controlled flora, and the quiet, melodic forms of Kaylenian communication that relied as much on subtle pheromone shifts as on vocalization. It painted a picture of a world both alien and deeply familiar in its pursuit of peace. Then, one evening, a new weight settled between them. Briar had been unusually quiet, her gaze distant as she watched the campus lights twinkle outside the library window. "There's more," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "to why I am here." Quentin waited, sensing the magnitude of her impending revelation. He simply met her gaze, a silent invitation for her to continue. "My presence on Earth is not merely for academic study," Briar confessed, her fingers tracing the worn seams of the hoodie she wore. "Kaylin faces a growing internal schism. A faction believes our sensory sensitivities make us vulnerable, that we should assert dominance through force, rather than maintain our peaceful, isolationist stance. They seek to exploit our unique genetic markers, to weaponize our sensitivities." Quentin felt a chill. Weaponize. They believe they can amplify our sensory perception, not for balance, but for overwhelming others. They see it as power. My family and many others oppose this. We believe true strength lies in connection and understanding. My mission here is twofold: to observe Earth, to understand how a species with such raw, unfiltered senses manages to thrive, to find lessons we can apply. She paused, her eyes searching his. "And to seek refuge if necessary. To forge an alliance, a peaceful path, before the other faction gains too much influence." The air in the library seemed to thicken, filled with the weight of interstellar politics and the quiet desperation of a world on the brink. Quentin processed her words, the implications vast and complex. Briar wasn't just a student, she was a scout, a diplomat, a potential refugee, carrying the fate of her species on her shoulders. His earlier understanding of her loneliness deepened into a profound empathy for the immense pressure she bore. Interstellar peace, Quentin echoed softly. You're here for interstellar peace. Briar nodded, her expression vulnerable. My family hopes to present a case for a peaceful resolution, using data gathered from worlds like yours. But if that fails, we will need allies. Earth, with its resilience and its unique biosignatures, could be vital. His quiet acceptance, his lack of fear or judgment, created a sanctuary she hadn't thought possible. The warmth that had sparked between them weeks ago now burned with a steady, profound flame. It wasn't just empathy, it was a shared purpose, a mutual vulnerability that wove their destinies together. Briar, Quentin said, his voice firm, unwavering. Whatever your mission, whatever Kaelin faces, you won't do it alone. I'm here. He reached across the table, not for her hand this time, but for the sleeve of the hoodie she wore, a gentle, reassuring touch. All of it. My presence, my support, whatever you need. Her golden eyes met his, brimming with an emotion that transcended words. It was gratitude, yes, but also a deeper, more nascent feeling. A sense of belonging she had never known outside of Kaelin's carefully controlled environment. His offer wasn't just about comfort anymore. It was about partnership, about a belief in her, in them. The silent promise exchanged was not just of friendship, but of a profound, unexpected alliance, blooming between a human and a Kaelinian, intertwined by trust and a shared hope for peace across the stars. Their silent promise exchanged was not just of friendship, but of a profound, unexpected alliance, blooming between a human and a Kaelinian, intertwined by trust and a shared hope for peace across the stars. Weeks melted into a rhythm that felt both new and ancient. Quentin often found himself leaving one of his hoodies draped over Briar's chair in the library, or folded neatly on her desk in the common study area. He didn't need to be asked anymore. The subtle act became a quiet language between them, a gesture of care and understanding that transcended words. Sometimes he would simply catch her eye, offer a small, knowing smile, and she would respond with a soft warmth in her golden gaze, pulling the familiar fabric closer. It wasn't merely about the scent anymore. It was about the intention, the unspoken reassurance that he was there, a steady presence in her turbulent world. One crisp afternoon, as they walked across campus, heading towards a small cafe, Briar's posture shifted. It was almost imperceptible, a tightening in her shoulders, a subtle flicker of her ears beneath the beanie. Quentin, attuned to her now, noticed the change immediately. Her steps became a fraction slower, her head turning slightly, as if listening to something beyond the everyday sounds. He saw her eyes scan the faces in the crowd, a heightened awareness sharpening their golden hue. Something's wrong, he murmured, keeping his voice low, matching her sudden gravity. She didn't respond immediately, her Kaelinian senses sifting through the layers of human activity. The chatter of students, the distant clang of construction, the faint aroma of freshly baked bread from the cafe. But beneath it all, a discordant note, a faint tremor in the biosignatures around them that spoke of something out of place, something watchful. A chill that had nothing to do with the autumn air ran down her spine. I feel it, Briar finally said, her voice a near whisper, tight with a tension he hadn't heard in weeks. A presence, not just curiosity, something predatory. She glanced over her shoulder, her fur accent standing slightly on end. It's faint but consistent, like a shadow moving through the periphery of my perception. Quentin's hand instinctively went to her arm, a gentle, grounding touch. What kind of presence? Human, Kaelinian? I don't know yet, she admitted, her brow furrowing. It's cloaked, masked. Whoever it is, they're skilled at dampening their signature, but it's there, watching, waiting. The warmth of his touch was a small anchor, but her internal alarm bells were ringing louder than they had since her arrival on Earth. Her mission, her very existence here, suddenly felt exposed. They found a secluded bench under an old oak tree, its leaves already turning crimson. Briar pulled Quentin's hoodie tighter around her, though the air was mild. This wasn't about comfort anymore. It was about a shield. "My mission here," she began, her gaze distant, focused on something only she could perceive. "The internal schism on Kaelin. It's more volatile than I let on." She spoke slowly, carefully, choosing her words with precision. "There's a faction, the Ascendancy, who believe our heightened sensitivities are a gift to be weaponized, not cherished. They advocate for total Kaelinian dominance, using biosignature manipulation to control other species." Quentin listened, his mind racing to connect the dots. The predatory presence, the exploitation of her unique abilities, it all clicked into place. "They oppose your family's peaceful resolution," he stated, not a question. Briar nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. "They see my observation mission as a weakness, a betrayal of Kaelinian potential. They believe that by understanding and adapting to other species, we dilute our own strength. My ability to find calm in a unique human biosignature like yours, they would view as a perversion." She looked at him, her eyes filled with a new kind of vulnerability. "My own sensitivity, my ability to filter and even manipulate biosignals, is something they desperately want to control, to turn into a weapon." The implications were staggering. Briar wasn't just a diplomat, she was a prized asset, a potential weapon in an interstellar power struggle. Her presence on Earth, once a quiet observation, was now a dangerous escape. "So someone from the Ascendancy is here," Quentin deduced, his voice low, steady, "to stop you, or worse, to bring you back." "To reclaim me," Briar corrected, her voice barely audible, "to force me to serve their agenda. My unique signature, my connection to Earth's resilience, makes me valuable to them. My family sent me here to gather data, to prove that peace and alliance are stronger than conquest. But if the Ascendancy finds me, if they learn how profoundly my senses interact with Earth, they will use it to justify their actions. They will turn my purpose into a tool of war." A wave of protectiveness surged through Quentin. He had pledged his support, but this was a different magnitude of threat. This was interstellar espionage, a battle for the fate of a species, and Briar was at its epicenter. The thought of her being forced, exploited, ignited a fierce resolve within him. "This makes your stay on Earth precarious," he said, his voice firm, unwavering. "It makes you a target." Briar met his gaze, a flicker of fear in her eyes quickly masked by determination. "I know, and I cannot risk my family's mission. I cannot let them win." Quentin shifted, turning fully towards her, his hand still on her arm, a silent promise. "Then we don't let them. Whoever this Ascendancy is, whatever their plans, they won't get to you." His words were calm, resolute, devoid of any doubt. "You said Earth's resilience could be vital. You also said my presence, my support, whatever you needed. I meant it, Briar." He squeezed her arm gently. "This isn't just about a hoodie anymore. This is about you, about Kaelin, about peace. And you are not alone in this fight." His commitment wasn't born of naivete, but from a profound understanding of her courage and the weight she carried. He saw her not as an alien in need of a human protector, but as a partner, an equal, facing an immense challenge. Briar's golden eyes widened slightly, reflecting the depth of his conviction. The warmth that had been building between them for weeks now blazed, fierce and protective. His unwavering belief in her, his immediate acceptance of the danger, forged their bond into something unbreakable. It was more than a shared purpose. It was a defiant stand, two beings from different worlds, united against a looming, unseen enemy. Their alliance, once unexpected, was now a solid, unshakable foundation. They would face this together. They wouldn't let them. That resolve, forged in the library's quiet hum, now propelled them. Briar and Quentin left the bench, their stride purposeful. "We need to be smarter," Briar stated, her voice low, as they navigated a less traveled path towards her dorm. My senses detect a subtle shift in the biosignatures around campus. Not constant, but sporadic, like a net being cast and retracted. Quentin nodded, his mind already racing. Then we change the currents. No more predictable routes, no more fixed study spots. We become water, briar, flowing where they least expect. Their strategy began immediately. Instead of the usual library, they chose an obscure common room in an academic building across campus, arriving at an irregular hour. Briar wore Quentin's hoodie. Its familiar sent a subtle shield against the mental noise. While Quentin scanned textbooks, Briar subtly observed the room, her golden eyes darting, her Kalenian hearing sifting through the layers of human chatter. "It's like they're looking for a specific frequency," she murmured, not looking up from her datapad. "My presence here is a beacon, but they need to pinpoint it. If we move constantly, they will struggle." Quentin suggested a rotation of campus cafes, empty lecture halls, and even the botanical gardens, always varying their timing. He began to record their movements mentally, creating a complex, unpredictable pattern. His human eyes, untrained in Kalenian biosignatures, focused on visual anomalies. He looked for faces that appeared too often, for individuals whose attention seemed to linger. One afternoon, in a bustling campus eatery, Quentin noticed him. A man in his early 30s, dressed in casual academic wear, sat alone at a table near the entrance. He wasn't looking at them directly, but his gaze swept the room with an almost clinical precision. Quentin saw him again 2 days later, not in the eatery but walking across the main quad, moving with an unusual economy of motion. Then, a third time near the science building, observing a group of students from a distance. Each instance, the man seemed unremarkable, yet the repetition pricked at Quentin's awareness. "The man in the green jacket," Quentin said to Briar later that evening, sketching a quick likeness on a napkin. They were in a deserted corner of the student union. Light brown hair, slight scar above his left eyebrow. "He's been in our vicinity 3 times now. Always detached, always observing." Briar took the napkin, her brow furrowing slightly. She closed her eyes for a moment, focusing her internal senses. "Describe his gait again," she requested. "His posture." Quentin detailed what he remembered. The subtle stiffness in his shoulders, the almost imperceptible hesitation before he turned his head. Briar remained still, her golden eyes still closed, processing. A long minute passed. Then her eyes snapped open. "You are correct," she stated, her voice tight. "His biosignature is cloaked, but not perfectly. My Kalenian senses can detect the faint resonance of Kalenian physiology beneath the human disguise. It's a deliberate mimicry, but the underlying patterns are distinct." A cold dread settled in Quentin's stomach. This was real. This wasn't just a perceived threat, it was a confirmed presence. An operative, he breathed, here, on campus. "He seeks to isolate me," Briar confirmed, her gaze hardening. "To force me to reveal myself, or perhaps to capture me outright." Her hand instinctively went to her pocket, where she kept a small, smooth Kalenian stone, a piece of her homeworld. "We need to accelerate our plans," Quentin said, his voice firm. "We need more than evasion. We need intelligence." He thought of the covert Earth-Kalen liaison initiative Briar had mentioned briefly during their deeper discussions about her mission. "Is there anyone on Earth you were supposed to contact? A failsafe?" Briar hesitated. "My mission parameters included a dormant contact, activated only under extreme duress. Professor Aris Thorne, Cultural Anthropology Department. He was a primary point of contact for diplomatic discourse." She paused, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her features. "I was told he was reliable, but I haven't initiated contact. I feared compromise." "Now is the time," Quentin urged. "If this operative is here, they are already compromised. We need to know what we're up against, and he might have answers." They decided to approach Professor Thorne with extreme caution. Briar, using her Kalenian perception, had pinpointed Thorne's office hours. Quentin went first, feigning a dropped assignment to gauge the professor's demeanor. Thorn was a man of quiet intensity, his office filled with ancient texts and strange artifacts. Quentin noticed a subtle, almost imperceptible silver glint on Thorn's desk, a small, smooth stone identical to Briar's own. It was a Kalenian signal, unmistakable. "Professor Thorn," Quentin began, his voice calm, "I have a friend who is facing some unique challenges. Challenges that might require a nuanced understanding of intercultural communication." Thorn met his gaze, his eyes holding a depth that transcended academic curiosity. "Indeed," he replied, his voice a low, measured tone. "Some challenges require more than just textbooks. They require context." He paused, then picked up the silver stone on his desk, turning it slowly in his fingers. "Your friend, by any chance, possesses a similar appreciation for cultural artifacts?" Quentin understood. The signal had been received. "She does," he affirmed, "and she believes context is now critical." Thorn nodded, a subtle shift in his posture indicating quiet acceptance. "Meet me in the old observatory dome tonight after midnight. The stars offer a unique perspective on such matters." His eyes held a knowing glint, a silent confirmation of his true role. This was the ally they desperately needed. The old observatory dome felt ancient, hushed by the campus's late-night quiet. Moonlight filtered through the gaps in the dome's metallic panels, casting long, shifting shadows. Briar and Quentin found Professor Thorn waiting, his silhouette calm against the dim light. "Welcome," Thorn said, his voice barely a whisper, yet it carried clearly in the enclosed space. "A fitting place to discuss matters of perspective." Briar's Kalenian senses, usually overwhelmed by Earth, found a strange serenity here, perhaps due to the minimal ambient noise. "Professor," she began, her golden eyes meeting his, "Quentin believes you can shed light on our current predicament." Thorn nodded, turning to a small, worn desk tucked against the curved wall. He picked up a data slate, its screen dark. "Briar, your mission is far more critical than you realize. The Kalenian ascendancy is not merely seeking to reclaim you. They seek to control you, specifically your unique biosignature manipulation abilities." Briar tensed, the implications chilling. "Control, for what purpose?" "For war," Thorn stated plainly. "Your species, the Kalenians, have a natural empathic connection to biological systems. The ascendancy, however, has twisted this into a weapon. They believe they can amplify your signature, turning it into a tool of planetary subjugation. A silent, pervasive influence that can destabilize entire populations." Quentin leaned forward. "So they want to force her to be a weapon?" "Precisely," Thorn confirmed. "The current Kalenian government, the one that sent Briar here, seeks a peaceful alliance with human worlds, establishing a shared defense against wider galactic threats. Your abilities, left uncontrolled, are a symbol of that peace. Under ascendancy control, they become a symbol of terror. Your mission, Briar, is to demonstrate the potential for peaceful coexistence, to prevent the ascendancy from gaining a foothold through you." Briar felt the weight of worlds settle on her shoulders. "And if they succeed?" "Interstellar stability collapses," Thorn replied. "Humanity would view Kalen as a threat. Other species would follow. It would ignite a conflict unlike any seen in centuries. Your return, coerced or willing, would be the spark." "The operative, then, is here to ensure she returns," Quentin surmised. "Yes," Thorn affirmed. "They will try to isolate you, to make you feel vulnerable, to convince you that Earth offers no sanctuary. They operate with a chilling efficiency, using subtle psychological manipulation before resorting to force." He paused, his gaze sharp. "They will likely attempt to create an opportunity to seize you during a moment of perceived weakness or isolation." Briar felt a tremor of fear, but Quentin's hand lightly touched her arm, a silent reassurance. "How do we stop them?" Quentin asked, his voice steady. "We anticipate," Thorn said. "We use their tactics against them. The operative relies on subterfuge. We will expose them, not through direct confrontation, but through a carefully orchestrated display of alliances. Over the next few days, a subtle shift began to occur across campus. Breyer found her access codes for the astrophysics lab mysteriously failing, forcing her to rely on public terminals. A planned research collaboration with a visiting scholar was abruptly postponed due citing scheduling conflicts. Her usual quiet study nook in the library was often occupied, forcing her to more open, bustling areas. Quentin noticed it first. He tracked the changes, correlating them with sightings of the suspicious man. The operative seemed to be systematically disrupting Breyer's routine, pushing her towards specific, less secure locations. Breyer's Kalenian senses confirmed the operative's subtle presence, a faint, discordant biosignature that occasionally brushed against the edge of her perception, always near the points of disruption. "They're trying to funnel you," Quentin stated one evening, showing Breyer a meticulously compiled timeline of the incidents. "Every time you're nudged out of your comfort zone, it's towards a more exposed environment. Look, the campus-wide debate on interspecies ethics, it's been moved to the Grand Hall. That hall has multiple entrances and exits, poor camera coverage in certain sections, and always a large, shifting crowd." Breyer studied the timeline. "They want me in the Grand Hall." "Yes," Quentin confirmed. "It's the perfect place for them to create a distraction, isolate you, and then disappear with you in the confusion." They immediately relayed their findings to Professor Thorne. In his office, surrounded by ancient artifacts that seemed to hum with silent stories, Thorne listened intently. "Clever," Thorne mused, "but predictable. They underestimate human ingenuity, particularly when protecting those we value." He looked at Quentin. "Your observations are astute. We will use their chosen battleground to our advantage." Quentin's mind raced. "We need a plan that uses the chaos of the Grand Hall against them. Something that prevents them from isolating Breyer, but also doesn't cause a panic." Thorne nodded. "Campus security is a resource. Academic protocols are another. We can integrate them, creating a controlled environment within the perceived chaos." Quentin began to sketch out ideas on a digital pad. "What if Breyer still goes to the debate, but we ensure she's never truly alone? We can use the campus security's normal patrol routes, subtly altered, to create moving perimeters around her. And for the academic protocols, what if she's scheduled for a special presentation immediately after the debate, requiring her to be escorted by specific faculty?" Thorne's eyes gleamed. "Excellent. A public appearance followed by an official escorted departure. It makes her visible yet protected. The operative would have to act openly, risking exposure and failure." They refined the plan over the next 2 days. Quentin worked tirelessly, coordinating with Thorne, who subtly engaged the head of campus security, framing it as a security drill for a high-profile visiting scholar, Breyer. The special presentation was arranged with a departmental dean, a concept easily accepted given Breyer's academic achievements. Breyer watched Quentin, his focus unwavering, his determination a palpable force. He spent hours mapping out security camera blind spots, calculating crowd flow, and even studying the Grand Hall's ventilation system for subtle distractions. He wasn't just planning, he was constructing a fortress around her with his mind and his actions. One evening, as they finalized the details in a quiet corner of the library, Breyer looked at him, a warmth spreading through her chest that eased the constant tension in her Kalenian senses. "You are doing all of this for me," she whispered, her voice laced with a raw emotion she rarely showed. "You risk so much." Quentin met her gaze, his eyes earnest. "You are not alone in this, Breyer. You never have been. What you are fighting for, peace, it affects us all. And you deserve to be safe." He reached across the table, his hand gently covering hers. "This isn't just about a mission anymore. It's about protecting you." Breyer felt a profound shift within her. She had always carried the burden of Kalen's future alone, believing her unique nature made her inherently isolated. But looking at Quentin, Seeing the unwavering resolve in his eyes, feeling the gentle strength of his hand, she realized the depth of human loyalty. It wasn't a fragile thing, easily broken by fear or the unknown. It was a powerful, steadfast force, a willingness to protect that transcended species and worlds. She was not just an alien observer or a diplomatic envoy. She was Briar, and she was cherished. The understanding brought a wave of warmth, deeper than any physical comfort. She felt truly seen, truly valued, truly protected for the first time in her life. The world still shouted, but Quentin's presence and the quiet alliance they forged was a shield, strong and true. That shield grew stronger in the days that followed. The quiet corner of the library became their sanctuary, a place where whispered strategies intertwined with unspoken affections. Briar found herself seeking Quentin's hand more often, her fingers lacing with his in moments of quiet contemplation, a silent language passing between them. He would often watch her, his gaze holding a depth of understanding that soothed her Kalenian senses more profoundly than any physical barrier. One evening, after another intense planning session with Professor Thorne, Briar lingered with Quentin. The campus was quiet, the library nearly empty. "I never thought," she began, her voice soft, "that I would find such a connection here on Earth, or with anyone." Quentin turned to her, his expression tender. "Neither did I, Briar. You are unlike anyone I have ever met. Your strength, your purpose, the way you see the world, it is extraordinary." He reached out, his thumb gently brushing her cheek. "And you are not alone in this. Not now, not ever." Briar leaned into his touch, her golden eyes reflecting the soft library lights. "My mission, our survival, it feels intertwined with you now. With us." "It is," Quentin affirmed, his voice firm. "And we will face it together." Their lips met then, a soft, tentative touch that deepened into a profound connection, a silent promise forged in the quiet resolve of two beings from different worlds. It was a kiss of shared purpose, of unwavering trust, and of a love blossoming amidst the shadow of danger. Their affection became a wellspring of strength as the operative's presence grew more insistent. Professor Thorne had deciphered fragments of a Kalenian data burst, a coded transmission he intercepted. The Ascendancy, Thorne reported grimly during their next clandestine meeting, their objective is not merely to reclaim Briar. They want to disrupt the Kalenians' Elosian peace treaty. Briar's silver fur accents bristled. "The treaty, but it is critical for galactic stability." "Precisely," Thorne confirmed. "Your unique biosignature manipulation abilities, Briar, are central to the Ascendancy's propaganda. They claim you are a rogue agent, a defector whose return will invalidate the treaty's terms. They want to use your forced extraction as an act of Kalenian defiance, a declaration of intent to return to expansionist policies." Quentin's jaw tightened. "So they want to force your hand, make it look like you abandoned your mission, and trigger a galactic conflict." "That is their calculus," Thorne nodded. "The operative is under strict orders to ensure your public seizure, to create a spectacle that cannot be denied." The revelation sharpened their focus. The debate in the Grand Hall, previously a point of exposure, now became a strategic battleground. Quentin, armed with this deeper understanding, began to anticipate the operative's moves with renewed intensity. He noticed the operative's subtle attempts to isolate Briar, a blocked hallway requiring a detour through a less secure area, a conveniently scheduled campus event that would draw crowds away from her planned route. These were not random occurrences. They were precise, gentle nudges designed to funnel Briar into a vulnerable position. "They are trying to herd you," Quentin explained, pointing at a campus map. "Like a predator stalking its prey, but subtly. They do not want to alert campus security until the moment of the snatch." Briar, observing his meticulous analysis, felt a surge of admiration. His gentle nature was not a weakness but a strength, allowing him to perceive the nuances of human and Kalenian behavior alike. "My senses confirm the pattern," Briar added, her golden eyes scanning the map. "I have felt the subtle shifts in crowd dynamics, the unusual quiet in certain areas. It is like a net slowly tightening. Quentin devised a counter-tactic that leveraged his understanding of human behavior and campus protocols. "We will use their own strategies against them," he declared. "If they want to isolate you, we will ensure you are never alone. If they want to funnel you, we will create multiple, unpredictable paths." He coordinated with Thorne, who subtly engaged various departmental deans and campus organizations. A series of impromptu student engagement workshops and pop-up academic showcases were announced, strategically timed to coincide with the operatives' anticipated movements. These events were designed to create controlled, yet bustling, environments. "We create noise," Quentin explained to Breyer. "Sensory noise for them, but a shield for us. You will be visible, but always within a structured, unpredictable human crowd, making a clean seizure impossible." Breyer, in turn, began to integrate her Kalenian instincts into their human strategies. "If we are to create sensory noise," she suggested, "I can amplify it. Not in a way that causes distress to humans, but in a way that disrupts the operative's focus." She practiced subtle modulations of her biosignature, creating a localized, almost imperceptible sensory static around her when in crowds. It was a gentle, non-harmful burst of Kalenian energy that would make it harder for the operative to pinpoint her exact location or anticipate her movements with precision. She also learned to mask her own unique biosignature, adapting to blend seamlessly into the chaotic background of Earth's humanity. During the days leading up to the Grand Hall debate, Quentin executed his plan with meticulous precision. He walked with Breyer, his arm casually linked with hers, always ensuring they were part of a larger moving group. They moved through a series of spontaneous campus events, a poetry reading in the quad, a mock debate in a smaller hall, a student art exhibition in the main gallery. Each movement was a deliberate misdirection, a subtle weaving through the fabric of campus life. The operative, a shadowy figure Breyer could sense but rarely pinpoint, grew visibly frustrated. Quentin saw the subtle shifts in the operative's posture, the fleeting expressions of annoyance when Breyer vanished into a throng of students, only to reappear moments later on a different trajectory. Quentin's gentle resourcefulness was proving to be a formidable obstacle. He wasn't fighting. He was outmaneuvering, using the very environment the operative sought to exploit as a weapon against them. Breyer, feeling Quentin's unwavering support, found her confidence soaring. She no longer felt like a hunted target. With Quentin guiding their movements and Thorne providing crucial intelligence, she was an active participant in their defense. She learned to read the subtle cues of human behavior, using their predictable patterns to enhance her own Kalenian sensory evasion. She was adapting, evolving, becoming a bridge between her world and his, not just through her mission, but through her very being. Their shared purpose, forged in the crucible of escalating danger, had indeed created an unbreakable bond, a love as resilient and profound as the interstellar peace they fought to protect. The Grand Hall buzzed with an almost palpable energy. The air vibrated with hundreds of voices, a mix of eager anticipation and spirited debate already underway. Breyer moved through the throng, Quentin a steady presence beside her. His hand rested lightly on her arm, a silent anchor in the sensory storm. The debate stage shimmered under bright lights, a focal point designed to draw all eyes and the operative's attention. They had chosen this event deliberately. The sheer volume of human biosignatures created a chaotic shield for Breyer, and Quentin's presence amplified that masking effect. Professor Thorne, discreetly positioned in an alcove near an emergency exit, maintained visual contact. Campus security, briefed on unusual disruption potential, was subtly deployed, their presence a quiet assurance. Breyer's Kalenian senses, usually overwhelmed, now sharpened, honed by weeks of training. She felt the subtle shifts in the crowd, the micro-movements of individuals. Then she felt it, a familiar, cold signature cutting through the noise. The operative. He was moving, a current flowing against the human tide, directly towards their position near the side entrance. "He's making his move," Breyer murmured, her voice low enough only for Quentin to hear. Her golden eyes flickered, calculating trajectories through the dense crowd. Quentin nodded, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. "Stick close, we lead him." They began to weave, not fleeing but guiding. Quentin shifted their path, subtly altering their direction towards a less congested corridor that led backstage. The operative, confident in his ability to isolate, followed, taking the bait. He pushed through the crowd with an unnerving efficiency, his cloaked form a phantom slipping between students. As they neared the backstage corridor, a prearranged technical difficulty flickered the main hall lights. A momentary hush fell, then a ripple of murmurs. In that fractional distraction, Quentin pulled Briar deeper into the corridor, just as Thorne's signal flashed. Lockdown initiated. The corridor's heavy door swung shut behind them, sealing the operative inside with Briar, Quentin, and a few strategically placed security personnel who now blocked the other end. The noise of the debate was suddenly muffled, replaced by the hushed tension of their isolated space. The operative shed his illusion of a campus staff member. His form solidified, taller, leaner, his eyes burning with a cold intensity that Briar recognized from Kalenian ascendancy reports. He wore a uniform of dark, functional fabric, a stark contrast to the civilian clothes of Earth. Briar, the operative's voice, was a low, resonant growl devoid of warmth. "Your foolishness ends here. You will return to Kalen." Quentin stepped slightly in front of Briar, not aggressively but protectively. "She's not going anywhere with you." The operative's gaze flickered to Quentin, a sneer twisting his lips. "A human. You truly have lost your way, Briar, seeking comfort in a lesser species." Briar moved beside Quentin, her hand finding his. His touch was solid, grounding. "My way is peace, Ascendant. A path your faction abandoned long ago." "Peace?" The operative scoffed, a bitter sound. "You call this weakness, this fraternization with primitives, peace? Our unique biosignatures, Briar, are a weapon, a tool for dominance. Kalen's rightful place is at the apex of this galaxy, not begging for alliances with underdeveloped worlds. Your mission undermines everything our ancestors fought for." His words hit Briar with a familiar sting. The Ascendancy's ideology, steeped in Kalenian exceptionalism, had always grated against her own core beliefs. "Our ancestors sought knowledge and harmony," Briar countered, her voice steady despite the tremor in her Kalenian core. "They understood the delicate balance of life, the interconnectedness. You twist their legacy into a justification for conquest." "Conquest is order," the operative spat. "The treaty you seek to uphold, the one your faction champions, is a surrender. It ties Kalen's potential to the slow, cumbersome pace of other species. Your unique abilities, your sensory manipulation, are wasted here, diluted by this planet's crude energies. We need you. Your return, your public affirmation of the Ascendancy's power, would shatter their fragile peace talks. It would show the galaxy that Kalen stands united, ready to claim its destiny." He took a step forward, his intent clear. "Come, Briar, reclaim your true purpose. Forget this human, this pathetic attachment." Quentin, sensing the shift, tightened his grip on Briar's hand. He met the operative's gaze without flinching, a quiet resolve in his eyes. "You don't understand her or us," Quentin said, his voice calm but firm. "She's not a weapon, she's a bridge, and her choices are her own." Briar felt a surge of strength from Quentin's words, his simple, unwavering belief in her. She looked at the operative, then back at Quentin. The operative saw only power, dominance, a means to an end. Quentin saw a person, an ally, a partner. The contrast was stark, illuminating. "My purpose is not to subjugate but to understand," Briar declared, her voice ringing with a newfound authority. "My abilities are not for conquest but for connection. You talk of Kalen's destiny, but you misunderstand what makes us great. It is not our strength to dominate, but our capacity for empathy. Our ability to perceive the nuances of life, to find harmony where others see only chaos." The operative sneered. "Empty rhetoric, a consequence of your prolonged exposure to this inferior world." No, Breyer said, stepping forward, drawing on the energy of the debate hall just beyond the door, the collective human presence. It is a consequence of understanding, of seeing beyond Kalen, beyond our own perceived superiority to the value in every life form. Quentin has shown me this. Humanity has shown me this. They offer a hand in friendship, not a fist of subjugation. She looked at Quentin, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. He offered a subtle nod, his eyes conveying complete trust. Empowered, Breyer turned fully to the operative. You seek to use my biosignature as propaganda to break a peace treaty. But you underestimate the very nature of Kalenian sensory perception, she stated, her posture straightening. Her silver fur accents, usually subtle, seemed to shimmer more intensely under the corridor's lights. She drew a deep breath, focusing. She would not harm him. She would not violate her principles. But she would show him the true power of Kalen, a power he had perverted. Breyer extended her hands, not in aggression, but in a deliberate, controlled gesture. A faint, almost imperceptible wave of energy emanated from her, a subtle Kalenian sensory display. It was not a physical force, but a targeted manipulation of biosignatures, a concentrated burst of what Earthlings might perceive as an overwhelming wave of sensory input. For the operative, the quiet corridor instantly became a maelstrom. Every sound, every light fluctuation, every minuscule biosignal from the distant debate hall was amplified 1,000-fold, focused directly onto him. The subtle scent of cleaning chemicals became an acrid burn. The distant murmur of the crowd became a deafening roar. The flicker of the corridor lights became a blinding strobe. His own senses, attuned to Kalenian frequencies, were suddenly hyperstimulated, unable to filter the deluge. He gasped, staggering back, clutching his head. His cloaked form wavered, struggling to maintain its coherence under the assault of unfiltered sensory data. He tried to move, to retaliate, but his coordination faltered. He was disoriented, overwhelmed, trapped within his own heightened perception. He fell to his knees, his hands pressed against his temples, a low groan escaping his lips. It was not pain, but pure, unadulterated sensory overload, a taste of what Breyer experienced daily on Earth without Quentin's anchor. He was neutralized, rendered incapable of action, not by violence, but by the very power he sought to exploit. Quentin moved swiftly, stepping past Breyer to quickly secure the operative's hands, binding them with restraint cords provided by the security detail, who now moved forward. The operative offered no resistance, his eyes wide and unfocused, lost in the sensory chaos Breyer had unleashed upon him. Breyer lowered her hands, the shimmering around her fur accents subsiding. The corridor returned to its muffled quiet. She watched the operative, a profound sadness in her golden eyes. He was a reflection of a path her people could have taken, a path of isolation and perceived superiority, rather than connection and empathy. Professor Thorne entered from the other end of the corridor, his expression grim but relieved. He nodded to Breyer and Quentin. "Well done. The liaison team is ready for extraction." Quentin turned to Breyer, his arm gently circling her. "You were incredible," he whispered, his voice filled with admiration and warmth. Breyer leaned into his touch, the residual tension slowly easing from her frame. "We were incredible," she corrected, looking from Quentin to the security personnel, then to Thorne. "All of us." The operative was escorted away, a defeated, bewildered figure. The immediate danger was over. The climax had passed, not with a clash of weapons, but with a clash of ideologies, and a demonstration of Kalenian power used for peace, not war. Breyer had stood firm, protected by an unexpected alliance, and had chosen a future built on understanding. The Grand Hall debate continued, unaware of the silent, interstellar drama that had unfolded just beyond its walls. Breyer knew the true debate had just concluded. The liaison team moved with quiet efficiency. Two individuals in subdued gray uniforms stepped forward, their movements precise, their expressions unreadable. They secured the operative, who remained disoriented, lost in the echoes of Breyer's sensory display. He offered no resistance as they guided him down the corridor and out a service exit, vanishing as silently as they had appeared. The brief, intense drama left the air charged with a different kind of energy, one of quiet victory and profound relief. Professor Thorne watched them go, then turned to Breyer and Quentin, a rare smile softening his usually serious face. The Ascendancy's attempt to destabilize our nascent alliance has been thoroughly thwarted, he stated, his voice calm. Their operative's testimony, once processed, will be invaluable in exposing their true intentions to the wider galactic community. Breyer felt a deep exhale leave her, a release of tension she had carried for months. "It's over," she murmured, more to herself than to them. Her golden eyes met Quentin's, a silent conversation passing between them. His hand found hers, a gentle squeeze grounding her completely. "Not entirely over, Breyer," Thorne corrected gently. "This incident has, in fact, accelerated things. Your unique ability to manage Kalenian biosignatures, coupled with your understanding of human empathy and your actions tonight, has created a significant shift. The Council on Kalen, having received my reports and now anticipating the full operative debrief, is already moving to solidify a new diplomatic approach." Breyer looked at him, a flicker of apprehension in her eyes. "A new approach? What does that mean for my mission?" Thorne's smile widened. "It means your observation mission has concluded with unparalleled success. You have proven that a true alliance between our worlds is not only possible but essential. Your insights into human culture, your ability to bridge the sensory gap, and your demonstration of Kalenian power used for peace, not coercion, are exactly what Kalen needs right now." He paused, his gaze thoughtful. "Breyer, the Kalenian Council wishes to formally appoint you as the first Kalenian ambassador to Earth." Quentin tightened his grip on Breyer's hand, his surprise evident but quickly replaced by pride. Breyer, however, was momentarily speechless. Ambassador. The word echoed in her mind, heavy with responsibility yet also bright with possibility. She had come to Earth as an observer, a solitary scout. Now she was to be a bridge. "An ambassador," Breyer finally repeated, testing the word. "That means I stay." It was not a question but a profound realization. Her gaze drifted to Quentin, a silent gratitude shining in her eyes. Her anchor was here. Her future was here. "Indeed," Thorne confirmed. "You will be instrumental in establishing formal diplomatic relations, cultural exchanges, and scientific cooperation. It's a vital role, Breyer, one that requires exceptional understanding of both worlds." Over the next few weeks, the campus quieted. The Grand Hall debate a distant memory for most, but for Breyer and Quentin, it marked a turning point. Breyer's life rapidly transformed. She moved from her campus dorm into a discreet, secure residence near the university, officially designated as the Provisional Kalenian Embassy. Her days became a whirlwind of meetings with Earth diplomats, scientific liaisons, and cultural representatives. She explained Kalenian biology, the nuances of their sensory perceptions, and the Ascendancy's ideology, all while advocating for mutual understanding. Quentin remained by her side, not just as her partner, but as her unofficial, indispensable consultant. His astrophysics studies continued, but his evenings and weekends were now spent deciphering complex diplomatic protocols, translating cultural idioms, and offering insights into human behavior that no Kalenian could fully grasp. He helped her navigate the intricacies of Earth's political landscape, predicting reactions, and offering strategic advice that proved invaluable. His calm, logical mind was the perfect complement to her intuitive Kalenian understanding. One evening, after a particularly draining day of negotiations regarding interstellar trade agreements, Breyer sat with Quentin in the quiet living area of her new residence. She wore one of his hoodies, a newer one, but imbued with the same comforting scent she had come to rely on. The subtle silver accents of her fur shimmered softly in the lamplight. They still don't quite understand the concept of sensory resonance in trade negotiations, Briar sighed, leaning her head on Quentin's shoulder. They keep asking for quantifiable data on how a Kalenian's emotional state influences market stability. Quentin chuckled softly, wrapping an arm around her. It's a new concept for them, Briar. They're used to hard numbers, not emotional wavelengths. But you're getting through. I saw it today. Representative Davies actually paused to consider your point about the biosignal impact on resource allocation. That's progress. Progress, yes, she conceded, a small smile playing on her lips. But slow progress. Sometimes I miss the simplicity of just being an observer or even a student. You're still a student, Quentin corrected gently, just of a much bigger, more complicated subject, and you're not alone anymore. He kissed the top of her head. We're learning together. Their romance deepened, evolving from the initial spark of empathy and shared vulnerability into a profound partnership. Their connection was forged in the crucible of interstellar intrigue, but it found its lasting peace in the quiet moments, shared meals, late-night conversations about the stars and the future, and the simple comfort of his presence. Quentin's hoodie, once a desperate shield, had become a symbol of their intertwined lives, a testament to the warmth and safety they found in each other. Briar's Kalenian senses, once a source of overwhelming anxiety on Earth, now found a new clarity. With Quentin's consistent biosignature as her anchor, she could filter the world more effectively, appreciating the subtle nuances of human emotions, the vibrant complexity of their planet. She still wore his hoodie sometimes, not out of necessity, but out of affection, a tangible reminder of how far they had come. Her first official diplomatic address to the university community, streamed globally to Kalen and other allied worlds, was a testament to her growth. She spoke not just as a Kalenian, but as a being who understood the profound value of unexpected alliances. She spoke of the courage of a young human who offered a simple garment, and how that small act of kindness blossomed into a bridge between civilizations. She spoke of the strength found in vulnerability, the power of empathy, and the boundless potential of connection across the stars. Quentin sat in the front row, his gaze fixed on her, his heart swelling with pride. He saw not just the Kalenian ambassador, but the brilliant, sensitive woman he had come to love. He saw the future in her golden eyes, a future where Kalen and Earth, once distant strangers, walked hand in hand, guided by understanding and respect. After the address, as the applause subsided, Briar descended from the podium and walked directly to Quentin. She took his hand, her touch firm and warm. "The true debate," she said, her voice soft, "has only just begun, but now we debate together." He smiled, a deep, contented smile. "Always," he promised, their fingers intertwining. Their journey, which began with a borrowed hoodie and an unspoken need, had led them to a shared purpose, a love that spanned worlds and an enduring peace that resonated across the cosmos. The universe, once vast and isolating, now felt intimately connected, bound by the unexpected alliance of a Kalenian and a human, and the warmth of their unwavering connection.